Chat About It, the new interactive internet radio station of the future. Chataboutit.com.
Sure, you could listen to the 18,000 other soccer podcasts out there, but they suck.
Let's listen to something. Let's get to it.
This is National Soccer Radio.
Welcome back, National Soccer Radio. I am J.D. Smith, live on chataboutit.com. You want to get involved, talk to us about soccer in the U.S. or, hey, we'll take home improvement questions, too. I don't care at this point. I'm going to talk to somebody. 877-242-8212. That's 877-CHAT-212. What do you think? Charlie Davies, I like what I've said there, If there's a way Bob Bradley could have got him on the squad, he would have been there. He wasn't there. He just physically wasn't there, it sounds like, and that's why he was left off. But I know there's some angst, and I want to hear your thoughts on it. So give us a call, 877-CHAT-212, 877-242-8212. Man, there are a lot of. Can we get more twos in that number? Seriously. On the phone now is writer for the Washington Post that hopefully you read almost every day, or every day if you can. Steve, is it Joff or Goff? I'm sorry, I see it in print every day. I never get to hear you actually say it. So
it's Goff.
It is Steve Goff. All right, thank you. I appreciate that. How are you doing today?
Good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. DC United, obviously, it's been kind of a roller coaster season thus far, mostly kind of at the bottom of the hill, but last couple weeks they've kind of started to pick it up. Got a win against Kansas City, then, a good game against Dallas last week. They did lose, but what's the morale like in the locker room? You're seeing these guys every day. How are they holding their heads at this point?
It's pretty positive. I mean, it all stems from their coach, Kernan Alpo, who's just a generally very positive thinking guy, and I think the team has bought into it. The number of losses and the way they've lost has certainly eroded a bit at their confidence, like with any team. It's early in the season, but at the same time, they need to start gaining some points because, it's a little more difficult now to make the playoffs with more teams in the league. And, you just can't fall that far behind and expect to, wait for the summer transfer window to open and then turn everything around and make a run. So, a game tomorrow at home against Colorado, a team that hasn't won at RFK since 1999. And this is a game that DC United should win and obviously needs to win at this point.
Right, yeah. Well, and I read your article today, just kind of your news and notes of the day, and the quote from Curt Onalfo, when you're performing well, you don't want to tinker with too many things when you asked him about what kind of lineup change is becoming. I mean, I know they won a game, but can we say it's a performing well status at this point? I mean, they're looking better. They've got some positive with Bill Hamid, and they've the Chrisman Alsop combination seems to be working up top, but I don't know that I would call one win and a loss a positive performance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously overstating it, but that's Curt. I mean, Curt finds the positive in everything, and he tries to, keep the team, with a good, healthy energy going into the next game. They've showed encouraging signs. They've created more chances. The defense has been a little tighter. The goalkeeping has improved a lot since Bill Hamid stepped in for Troy Perkins. They're playing with more width, which, they had problems with. They switched back to a 4-4-2 after playing, with a more
the clustered midfield.
They've made some changes, and it's looked better. They probably should have beaten Dallas last week, or at least gotten a tie on the road. They didn't. But there is some glimmer of hope, and they're hoping they can string together a couple of good performances.
What are you hearing from the fans as you walk around, the venerable halls of RFK? Are you hearing any animosity towards the coach or towards the ownership group? I mean, what are you hearing from fans as you walk around?
I mean, they're trying to stay focused and positive, and like I said, there's been some signs of encouragement the last couple of weeks. But at some point, they just got to get points, and good performances in which you settle for losses or ties will no longer do. So, I think they're hanging in there psychologically, and now it's time to get some results. So,
yeah,
that's simple.
Let me ask you this, kind of switching gears a little bit. Obviously, you've probably heard a little bit. We've been talking about Charlie Davies today. The crash happened there in D.C. I know I haven't seen anything lately on it. Are you aware of any movement on that crash investigation? Last we heard, the driver wasn't being charged. Is that right? Is that still where it is at this point?
The case is still open.
Yeah.
The Park Service, U.S. Park Service, has overseen it. Has not come out with an official report, and indications are that the U.S. Attorney's Office is now overseeing the case, and may have to decide at some point whether to charge the driver. It's been 7 months now. We haven't seen anything, but it's not over yet. And clearly, in a case like this, you're going to have some civil action. The family of the woman who was killed, and Davies himself certainly could step forward with a civil case. So it's still it's still progressing, and hopefully in the next few weeks we'll hear from the U.S. Attorney's Office in Washington.
Yeah, it's a sad situation either way, and obviously nothing anybody wants to talk about, but yet here we are faced with it. I don't mean to get beleaguered with the provincial legislation of the District of Columbia, but are they seriously proposing a ticket tax on sporting events that will exclude the Nationals?
Yeah, it's part of I think it's part of the contract the Nationals have with the city.
When they
arrived a couple of years ago. I don't know the specific details, but
yeah, do they hate the fans of DC? I mean, the thing I love about DC is when I've gone there, the few times I've been to games there, in the subway or around the city, you hear people talking about it in the same breath as the Caps or the Redskins or the National. I mean, it's just a part of the fabric that maybe you don't see as much in other MLS cities. To me, this just seems like another kind of slap in the face. But I said you're not.
Yeah, I mean, it would affect all the pro teams, so they're certainly not. Focusing on DC United.
Yeah, I know.
They're trying to raise money for the Parks and Recreation Service, which has had major cuts. So, I understand why they're trying to raise money and to do it through another sporting forum, or avenue. But obviously, it another tax on. Yeah. No one wants another tax, and certainly it affects your ability to sell tickets, and I don't know. It's not
I'll tell you this. I'm willing to bet. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, if the product on the field or the court or the ice is good enough, people aren't going to notice, and they're not going to care.
That's true.
But when the team is bad and you see a proposal to increase ticket prices, then, obviously it rubs people the wrong way. Yeah.
I'm going to guess most DC fans would be willing to pay twice what they're paying now if it meant a new stadium was in the works. You hear anything on that as far as DC getting a new place to play anytime soon? I know they've talked to Baltimore, they've talked all these different places, but every stone they seem to turn over just ends up a dead end. I mean, are you hearing any further progress on that?
Well, it's a process, and they've kept quiet this time. They made it very public when they tried to go to Prince George's County.
Right.
And that backfired on them.
Yeah.
They do, DC United does say that they're talking to people in DC about possibilities of sites in Virginia, which would seem to make the most sense because the fan base is largely in Virginia. The problem there is, they've built a culture around this team of taking the subway to the games.